Russell Crowe, excuse me.
What's up, everyone? We're going to talk a little bit of Avs, a little bit of Nuggets, and a lot of Broncos today. So stay tuned, and we will get into all of that very shortly.
Yo, welcome to the show. Let me set the scene. Mile High Sports Symposium, living the dream. Broncos in the house with that orange and blue. Nuggets making moves, watch that altitude crew. Avalanche bringing ice, check the skills they display. Rocky swinging bats, ready for game day. Rapids in the mix, kicking it with style. Buffs bring the heat, put the rivals on trial. Out talking JJT, they got the scoop. Mile High vibes, feel that energy rise. Sports on the menu, watch the crowd mesmerize. From football to hockey, we're taking it higher. Join the celebration, feel that sports desire.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. I am JT Matthews, one of your hosts, and I'm here with the doctor, the other host, Nicholas Manning. Doc, what's up? How are you? Happy Wednesday.
I'm good. Yeah, the weather's improving. Yesterday was a little tad bit nipply. Not awful, but today's like Monday was like perfect weather. Monday was like that crisp, coldish. Sunday and Monday were just like, oh, it was beautiful. And then yesterday was a little chillier, but I'm all right. You and me, we run hot.
I like it.
So
I like
shorts. Yeah. And then today, a little bit of sun out. It's just like perfect fall weather. You couldn't ask for better in it. But I'm super excited to talk about what we're going to talk about. As I was thinking about it, I just felt like I was watching The Gladiator by all of our sports teams. Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here? That's I'm just telling you, man. Just
why we're here, baby.
Sports stuff. But before we get there, how are you, Broseph?
I am good. I'm going to be sore tomorrow. I went to the gym for the first time in a long time. I've been slacking, but just trying to make some better life choices, trying to get back on the straight and narrow. Just putting in a little bit of work. Been feeling like I need to do that, and so we're doing it.
Yeah. It's first day back and anything is terrible. Vacation, workout. Like, no matter what it is, when it's like you get back into a grind, even when you like it, it's still like, it's like when I played sports, getting back into practice conditioning, like that sucked. Like you're glad you're like, oh, we get to play some sports now, but the warm-ups suck. That's why I get hurt all the time because I don't want to warm up when I get hurt.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, all right, fine. Like that's like the least fun. So I get it. And nice job. I am also sore from working out. My program, I squat 3 times a week. And so I do it to make sure that my hips have, old man hips. So make sure that they stay open and I can like function. The problem is I beat the crap out of myself. So it's like good sore and it's just it's lame sore. Like I wish I could. It even was like better, but you know what? We all start somewhere or something, and at least we're getting. At least we're doing it. At least we're doing the things.
I'm trying to not do the thing where I'm like, okay, time to get back in shape. And then I go way too hard today. And then I'm like, need 5 days to recover because I'm old and and sore. So I'm trying not to do that. So we'll see. I mean, I feel like I probably did it a little bit, probably pushed a little bit today, but not like I have in the past. So we'll see. I'm optimistic though. I'm thinking, just get in a good routine, get in a good habit. And we'll see some yields at some point.
Yeah, we got to get you ready for basketball sheepsies. Yeah,
I know. I've been working on my left hand. I've been working on just jump shooting a little bit. Yeah, it's true. That's how it felt today. I was like, we did some arms And then after about like 3 or 4 different arm exercises, I was like, my arms are mad and I don't know how long I can keep doing arms. So we shifted gears. It was good. And then we did rowing first. So it definitely, my arms are going to be shot. Doc, I think, is frozen. So I'm just going to keep going. We are going to talk, if you saw at the beginning, we're going to talk some Avs. We're going to talk some Nuggets. We're going to talk some Broncos. It's going to be a good show. It's the best time of year when we get to, well, aside from baseball, all our teams are active. We get to kind of, let's cover on my face now. We get to kind of just chill and watch sports and be, just taken away by our special athletes in this town. So I want to jump into the Nuggets first. We haven't got to react to the Nuggets yet. First game was last Thursday, and we stream on Wednesday. So it's been almost a full week. They've got 3 games under their belt. They are 2-1. The one loss coming against a good Golden State Warriors team. Very disappointing loss in that one, but Jokic did have his best game. As far as he still had a triple-double, so that's great. But as far as efficiency goes, it was not his best game. Hey, I'm talking Nuggets because I decided to switch it up.
I'm glad you did.
And you disappeared, and I was like, I got to start talking about sports. So here we are. I was just saying the Nuggets are off to a 2-1 start. A little bit disappointing loss to Golden State. Jokic had a triple-double, but maybe not his most efficient scoring night. And we're just getting a feel for what this team is. But first 3 games, 2-1, look pretty good. There's definitely, I think I've got to wrap my head around this defense still, this zone, like primary zone defense. Offensively, we knew that they were going to be good. It's a matter of when are they gonna play zone all year? Are they going to roll it out against certain teams and certain matchups? So far, it's been pretty consistently, and they've been pretty consistently in zone. And I don't know how I feel about that. Especially, it didn't seem to be all that effective against a team like Golden State, who can beat you with shooting.
No.
So, what's your early kind of takeaways from the first 3 games? What you've seen? Maybe just start on the defensive side of the ball, and we'll talk about the offense after that, because I think there's a lot of good to talk about with the offense. But defensively, I've got some question marks. Oh, I think I lost you again. Oh, well, you're kind of moving. Are you good now? Can you hear me?
Thing in the nuts.
Well, I'll keep talking then. The zone is something that I'm intrigued by. We saw it work at times against in the playoffs last year against the Clippers, against Oklahoma City. 2 very varying degrees of success. I understand why you want to run a zone look. You're not a very athletic team generally. It's a lot of hey, you're back again.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Just keep going. I'll chime in when I feel.
I think you do worry about Jokic, but he's not a rim protector. It's just the most, I'd say, as far as athleticism on this team, it's especially with your starters, it's not a super athletic team. And so
we're not a bouncy, elastic Houston or Oklahoma City, right? Where we're lengthy. But I think we have smart defenders. I think that maybe that's where the zone plays in, right? And so if you have, we have a little bit of an older bench now. You got, Tim Hardaway Jr., Valanciunas, and you got Bruce Brown. I mean, those are guys that they're not old, but they are older, right? So they're not your 22-year-olds. They're seasoned. Yep. So I think some of that might be right. Just they're smart, being able to close out. I think it also helps in some of the minute preservation. Jokic and Murray are playing a lot of minutes. And I think preserving them maybe a little bit in a zone concept right now. I think there's some of that. Maybe even just running a lot early, so that your team gets used to it. So you can taper off. I think being able to adjust in man is, I think, much easier in the NBA game because it's 90% of your defensive strategy usually. So maybe it's a little bit of that. I've liked their communication so far. I feel like at least progressing through the first 3 games. Golden State is a team that you don't play a 3-point shooting team in zone, unless you have really athletic perimeter defenders that can get to the ball skip. You got to be able to fly out there and get in passing lanes. It's just, usually your zone is to be able to help condense and control the paint. The problem is it also leaves you open to rebounding issues because you don't have someone immediately to box out. And so, getting 44 rebounds a night, at least I feel pretty good about that. But, it looks like advanced statistics, their defensive rating is like 19th in the NBA right now. It's 116.5. First in the NBA in offensive. So to be honest with you, it's almost a 10-point gap. About 9 full points. So if you're there and there, you're averaging, 9 points better. That's not a bad place to be. That said, I don't know. I mean, they're scoring 130 a night. Do you feel comfortable if your recipe is to win 130 to 120 every night? I don't feel comfortable with that. I feel like in the playoff, like in the playoffs when it's tighter, and it's not as free flowing as it's going to be. I love the offensive efficiency, but I definitely think defensively you got to tighten some screws. That said, it's a new team. We talked about it at the last pod, right? This is a new group of people, and even Bruce coming back, it's not the same. And so there's a lot to feel out. So I'm encouraged, at least I think, by the communication. The benches plus minus so far has been phenomenal through the first 3, which has never been the case in the Jokic era. And so the fact that now maybe the bench is a strength, that's weird. And so I think at least to be able to take from that, I think with that, veteran leadership, I think defensively they will improve. I don't know where the ceiling is though, because like you said, this isn't an overly athletic group. It is a smart team. So can they get stops late in the ball game? They couldn't against Golden State. And then when you're exerting yourself, not getting stops, you saw they couldn't finish it in Golden State. They should be 3-0. Right. And so that is a little bit of a concern. I think it's way too early, I think, to have a red button because they look pretty damn good just in general of flow and connectivity and the bench coming in. So like to see a little bit more defensively in terms of being able to get some key stops. But that really probably is my only concern as of the minute. Yeah, you said it. I think I caught you at the end, a little bit of Nikola Jokic's lack of efficiency so far. Yeah. He literally is Ice Cube, right? He just mess around and get a triple-double.
It's the last game, but yeah.
Yeah, but and even with that, I think we had talked about it the last pod. We said, be prepared that this is distribution first Jokic for a bit. He wants to get the new guys comfortable and involved. Yeah. And he's not going to try and go for 41 a night yet. But we all know he's gotten his back. He has nothing to prove to us or to the NBA that he can't go God mode. And so, so I think it's super exciting just because they look good, and I think we know that they can look better. Hey, what's good? Sure. Exercise some demons, smack around the Suns, right, with their punchable backcourt. You go up to Minnesota, kind of house of horrors up there. I know Ant didn't play, but they've lost to that team without Ant or without one of the bigs. And so not playing down to their competition so far as this team has, especially in slow starts, has been a concern. And so, Golden State was a tough matchup there. They had a game in hand already, competitive game. So they kind of got some of the rust off from the preseason. But I think that this team is trajectory up for sure. I think even if just the defense, if they get to 14th in defensive efficiency and they stay up there with that offense, I mean, we're looking at contending for the best record in basketball, and
for sure.
And I think that should be their goal.
Yeah, I think it needs to be. I mean, I think when you've got a young athletic team in OKC, you need every edge that you can get, especially when you're, like you said, a seasoned roster, not necessarily an old roster, but a seasoned roster at this point, especially your core. I think you've got to push to try and get as high a seed as you can. I think that it's just there's going to be a lot of forming still going on with this group. It's just going to take some time. Cam Johnson, we've seen struggle early. I'm not really too concerned about him not fitting in with this group. I just think that it takes time to get used to playing with Jokic. It takes time to get used to playing in a system where they have so many reads. Adam Mars did a good breakdown. I just watched a bit of it yesterday about all of the actions they run off of single sets so they can get different looks off of the same set. You know, sometimes it'll be a cutter that they're trying to get open. Sometimes it'll be a guy popping to the corner, but it's all the same action. And so having to know all those actions, where you fit into that, you know, when the ball's in Jamal's hand, where do I need to be? When the ball's in Jokic's hand, where do I need to be? Who's setting the screen for? And then when I set that screen based on my where I go, it's a lot. There's a lot to digest, and it's going to take time. It's not going to be perfect every time, but you know, the efficiency of this group, the starting group, especially on the court, it's second to none right now. And that'll carry you a long ways, especially early on when you're still trying to find your rhythm with the new guys and trying all sorts of different lineups. You know, it'll be interesting to see how they all kind of shake out. But I think right now I'm encouraged. You know, I thought this team was going to be good. I think we all thought this team was going to be good. But it's nice to see Jamal Murray come out with a hot start. It's nice to see Jokic trying to make sure everyone is incorporated into the offense and still being able to get wins whilst doing that. I think it just is setting them up for, you know, by the end of the season, they'll just be hopefully exactly where they want to be, barring any significant injury, knock on wood, or anything like that. But this team is, you know, got championship aspirations. They've got guys who have been there, and some have climbed the mountaintop and some have fallen short, but lots of experience in that locker room when it comes to playing in the playoffs and the mentality that it takes to get there. And right now they're showing, you know, that they belong as one of the favorites to win the championship, if not the favorite.
Yeah. I mean, and we'll maybe scoot after this. I mean, just looking at Jamal Murray, this is the best 3-game stretch he's had ever. The fact that it's to start when he is traditionally a late starter. So he's averaging just above 30 points a game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, if he does that, he's absolutely an all-star. We're looking at first team all NBA, which, you know, Jokic has yet to play with a player who has made the all-star team. And let alone an all NBA nod, first, second, third, whatever it might be. And so if you get Robin to really start to play up to the level of Batman, and then what Aaron Gordon has shown that he is ready to go this year. I mean, it's a team that's won. They know what it takes. They play really big in big moments for all of Jamal's concerns, wherever it might be. He is a playoff. He's a dagger. He's a dagger launcher. Aaron Gordon played phenomenal last year. Remember his buzzer beater against the Clippers, and obviously Nikola is just an absolute nightmare. So if you get that and some steady contributions, they're going to be pretty nice. That's for sure. So you know, it's going to be difficult to keep the top on over a ball. You know.
Yeah. Good early returns from Tim Hardaway yesterday with 20 points. Just like that's why you get those guys, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, they're guys that are capable. They have been starters in the league. They are capable of playing at a high level. And the fact that they wanted to come here, right? You didn't get them in a salary dump deal, and they're like, now I went from being a starter to getting 12 points a minute. No, they're like, I know that I want to go here and I can succeed. You know, and for Tim to be ready to do that instead of get lulled to sleep with, with maybe your usage in the first 2 games, that just shows like the professionalism now that they have.
Yeah.
I really hope Peyton Watson is really taking it in, because I think if he lets this culture kind of bring him in, I mean, his ceiling is tenfold of those guys. He just got to put it together, and I think that professionalism will help him do it. So. I like it. What about the other team at Ball?
Yeah, Avalanche had a 8-4 win yesterday in a crazy ESPN experiment where every team plays and they just kind of jump
What did
around.
they call it?
It's like red zone for hockey.
Yeah, what did they call it though? They called
I don't remember.
Shoot, if anyone knows, what do they had like a little brand name being for it. But
Yeah.
I mean, one, it was cool. Two, I had to turn the game off because I was on and watching it. It was 2-0. I had to flip for something. Came back. It was 5-0. Then all of a sudden they got like 3 in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, nope, I'm not going to be the reason why we blow a 5-goal lead. Like, nope, I'm going to watch it, like follow it on my phone. I'm not going to do that. I don't necessarily know if I believe in jinx, but I wasn't going to mess with it. It's like, this is going to make me mad. And then following it, they pull it together, win 8-4. But it was the first game this season, I think, where just defensive lapse occurred. Like that was a rough section of time, especially for Wedgie, right? So they are second in goals allowed per game. Seventh in goals against, second in goals per game. So kind of, a little bit of a mirror with the Nuggets. And mind you, if you take off those 4 goals, if you split them, they're probably, top 5 in goals against. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm glad they got that game, especially losing to New Jersey earlier in the week or last week, not too long ago, kind of coming back. That's a good hockey team, and to be able to come back, not only score on them, but take one to the chin a little bit and then still turn it back on. They didn't wilt. They didn't panic. And then you got your best player, depending on how we want. Nate McKinnon, I guess, players. Second points, right? Yep. 17. Cale Makar leads the NHL in assists, or leads the team in assists. And McKinnon has this tie for the goal lead at 9. And so you got to feel real good about just your stars coming out, similar to the Nuggets, right? Like the big boys came out to play so far. And you can't expect it to carry 82 games, but the bar is raised. Hey, if you're Olofsson, who had a nice game, if you're those guys, like you got to catch up. That's what I expect. I know McKinnon's been that in a quiet fashion, but now I think with Gabe back, it's kind of be the vocal point of the expectation. I think you're kind of seeing it with this group, and kind of where they stand. And so, any big takeaways that you have so far at kind of the 6-1-4 start?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably yesterday I was glad to see the power play get going. They've been struggling to score on the power play for whatever reason. You have some of the best goal scorers in the world on that power play unit, and they just weren't able to get it done. I think yesterday they had at least 3 power play goals. They had a lot of power plays, but I think they had at least 3 goals. One was 5-on-3, which you need to capitalize on. They did. One was early on. I think McKinnon scored on the power play early. But it was just nice to see that little bit of a wrinkle get going. It had been kind of a down area. Not that we were, too worried about this team. It's a good team. It's going to be a competitive team down the stretch. But those are the little marginal things that take you from being a really good team to a great team. And I think they suffered some disappointing losses in overtime so far. You get to overtime a number of times and you lose 4 of them. It's pretty tough early on when you've only played 11 games. So, those little things will help you win in those tight games that maybe didn't necessarily have to be so tight. So glad to see the power play going. Obviously, Wedgwood's still in goal, doing a nice job. Like you said, kind of had a little bit of a lapse second period when they started pouring it on. But was able to maintain his composure. The other his teammates lifted him up, and pretty good considering this is all with your backup goaltender. So, I'd like to see. I think they need to roll out a different 3-on-3 group in overtime, just because it hasn't been working. I think Natchez and McKinnon together are great on their line, but for whatever reason, when they roll out 3-on-3, they don't seem to work very well together. So maybe throw Val out there. He's always been a pretty good 3-on-3 player. Let him roll with McKinnon and Kale and see what happens. I don't know. They need to switch something up, though, because you can't keep losing in overtime like that. I mean, I guess you can, but you still get points. But you'd rather have 2 points than 1.
Right. Yeah, I mean, especially at that point, right? Because if you've already got 1 point, it's already in the bag. So why not try something a little bit so you can maybe find an elixir that works?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Val and McKinnon have always played pretty well together. So I think even just that meshing, it's already there. So it's not like you're pulling that out of thin air.
Yeah, run him with Gabe, run him with someone. I just see if you can find some magic. Since you've already had so many opportunities to do it this year, you may as well get a little creative. Hey, it didn't work very well the first 4 or 5 times we tried it. Let's just roll something else out. But overall, I'm still super optimistic. It was nice to see fourth line got. I mean, I think Olofsson's playing fourth line. He might be third line right now. I'm not sure. But either way, your bottom 2 lines got a lot of scoring yesterday. Olofsson had 3 goals. He had his first hat trick. And someone else. Bardakov scored also on the fourth line. And the rookie, I can't think of his name, 54, also scored. So like 5 of your 8 goals were from your bottom 4 or bottom 2 lines, which is, that's just bonus. I mean, obviously you need that throughout a season, but that many goals in one game from those groups is really it kind of bolsters everything in front of it. So the team's deep, the team's got legs, and I think that they're gonna continue to make some noise.
Yeah, it's hard because I still look just like the Nuggets. I think that they can play better.
Yeah,
and they're playing some really good hockey. Gavin Brindley, yeah. So 21-year-old, 5'9", $168.
Mm-hmm. Not a huge kid, but man, he goes out there and plays hard.
Yeah,
he
I mean, it's it's Theo Fleury. Remember my man 1-2 Fleury. That's what he reminds me of. A little like just fast spitfire. Hopefully, it keeps his teeth. All the stuff. So super cool. Anyway, it'd be interesting to see when Blackwood gets in. I think that there might be a little bit of a feeler out time for that, but I'm excited. I really think for this team to continue to move up when they start really getting all of their guys going. I mean, Gabe really hasn't been a huge offensive factor yet. He will. I think he's too good not to be. But you kind of saw just again the nuances. I thought Brock was super physical. Didn't back down. They got some big defensemen with New Jersey, and I mean Brock don't take no stuff. And I like it, right? Because that's not your captain. That's a vet who will hold it down for his guys. And the fact that again he's only been here for a half of a season and a couple weeks. I feel like this team kind of has that feel a little bit, and I'm excited to see where they go. Getting contributions from a lot of folks, I think, has been really cool. Trent Miner, I think he's played 2 games. 2 games, only giving up 4 goals. So even you're kind of nobody goaltender to be able to come in. I mean, he's just 24, for him to be able to come in and contribute, I think you got to feel good as a hockey club, just like where you're at. It hasn't been a team really that has a ton of depth, especially at the AHL level. Most of those guys kind of get through, or their assets to fix the big club. But right now, you're seeing that. And I think that happens when you have a culture that encourages guys to come in and contribute and be okay to fail. And, you wouldn't think that you could hang with the big boys, and we got the big boys. And so I like everything that's going on at Ball right now. I wish that I could poo-poo on it. No, I don't actually. I'm glad. But I think with that high expectations, right? Like both of these teams have to be in the Final Four of each sport. Like they got to be playing in the conference championship, or it really is what are we doing here? And I would not advocate for Bedsy going somewhere, but I think you have to critically look at it now. We overhauled our team 3 times, and really it's not the fact that we haven't won a Stanley Cup in years. It's that I think we've only made it to the second round twice in his tenure, 3 times. And that's not good enough, right? That's Jeff Fisher. That's
right.
All that. And I think at some point you just have an expiration date. I think Mike Tomlin, for as great as Mike Tomlin has been, right? If they get one and done in the playoffs this year, I think it's an appropriate thing to change for change's sake. And I think Bedsy would be in that same kind of category. That said, I do not think that is in the cards for this team. So it's easy for me to say that because I don't think it'll happen. But I think there's got to be some accountability. And I think we're all really happy with the roster. And if you're really happy with the roster outside of significant injuries, someone has to be accountable if you underachieve. And so I really like where this team's going for sure.
And it's not going to be, they're not going to trade Nate. They're not going to trade Kale. It's not going to be a big personnel shakeup, really. You might try and get younger or something, but the accountability is in the way that this team is structured. If it's going to fall on someone, it's got to fall on the coaching staff. Because you have the pieces. Presumably, every year you come in, everyone says that Avalanche are a good team. They're going to be cup competitors. And then when you fall short, there's always going to be that additional pressure. Going back to Gabe real quick. Gabe, he's reminding me right now of when we saw Jamal Murray come back the championship season after his ACL. And it took him just some time to get back into the flow of the game, to find his confidence. I mean, I've heard him talk at, just at different times about how much of a head game it is to come back from a major injury, to trust your body, to trust your knee, to be afraid that it's not going to hold up the way that it did previously. There's a lot of mental hurdles to coming over a major injury. And so I think that the more he's out there, the more he's going to feel comfortable. Eventually we'll get over probably a little bit of hesitancy or at times maybe just holding back just to be cautious. And I don't blame him at all for that. I would probably be doing the same thing, if not even more so than him. So, but that is kind of what it reminds me of. I think at some point we'll see a game where he has 2 goals and a fight or something, and you can say, okay, all right, we think Gabe's back now. We haven't seen it yet, but I think, like you said, he's too good of a player. He may have declined a little bit with how much time he's missed and the significance of those injuries, but he's gonna always be a guy who grinds in front of the net, who brings a mentality that you want on this team. And so I think we'll see a breakthrough, maybe another couple weeks, but I think it's coming sooner than later.
And I think even looking at it, so LOC supposed to be back early November. I don't know what the update is about Gerard.
I'm not sure either. Let me look.
But even that, I mean, you're looking at 2 guys who are significant contributors to a Stanley Cup winning team. Sam Gerard is one of your better defensemen in the league, especially ability to play offensive defensemen. So you're thinking about they're still not playing at full strength, which is pretty dope. Pretty dope to be able to say.
Yeah. It's definitely good. Week to week for Gerard, no real update that I'm seeing. It just says that they'll be out for some time. That was a couple weeks ago. So
gotta love hockey. Gotta love hockey's vagueness.
So vague.
And there shouldn't be a hurry to get him back right now. They're playing really well. They're not desperate. The younger guys are coming in and contributing, and you got some vets back there like Burns, et cetera, that are holding it. So gotta love where they're at.
And you're tied for the lead in the Central Division. So like you said, it's not desperation time. It's not, we don't need to rush guys back to the lineup. It's early.
Nope. Get some of the younger guys some minutes. You never know when you're going to need them. And, you can only develop by playing, and playing for the Eagles is phenomenal. I could never, but it isn't the Avalanche. It's not the NHL. And so getting some real NHL minutes, I think, for the younger guys, because they're going to need them throughout the season, attrition, et cetera, I think is nothing but good. But before we transition to the Broncos, why don't you remind the folks of our show schedule?
We've got a number of shows throughout the week, so make sure that you are always tuning into the Orange and Blue Network for all, especially your Broncos coverage. We are one of the few shows on the network that covers more than just the Broncos, but if you want Broncos, you're a Broncos fanatic, All of these shows are right up your alley. We got Orange and Blue Blitz on Mondays, Bronco Bros also on Mondays in the evening. Nothing rhymes with Orange and Blue. Tuesdays in the evening. Of course, us on Wednesdays in the afternoon. Broncos Talk Wednesdays. Then we've got we've got People on Broncos at 6 p.m. on Fridays. Anytime there's breaking news, we'll roll out the Fresh Squeeze pod, and then pre-games and post-games, you'll have the Get Bucked and Buck Your Feelings shows. So lots to choose from, lots of options, and pretty much every day of the week there will be something up your alley if you're a Broncos fan. So make sure you're tuning in.
Another shout out to the Viva Los Broncos. The fact that you have a Bronco show in Spanish is just super dope.
It's fantastic.
It is. I think it really, again, allows every Bronco fan an opportunity to connect with the community. So shout out to our dudes. Appreciate that for sure. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment for the algorithm, all that good stuff. But again, we're super close to giving out a Bo Nix jersey. So if you're not subscribing to the Orange and Blue Network on YouTube, go do that. It's weird that you're not. And then go get you some caffeine, as we talked about early on with working out and stuff. I mean, some people could go without it. I can't. That's for sure. And W is phenomenal. Again, none of the bad crap you don't want. A lot of the stuff that you do want. Use our code OBN10. So again, Orange and Blue Network 10 or Bo Nix 10. So however you want to do it, go do it. We get 10% off. And with that, let's give the people what they want. Okay.
Let's give them what they want. Some Broncos talk.
Let's go.
Broncos manhandle the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday with a 20-point win. Where do we want to start with this game? We want to. So my kind of takeaway. It's a good one, obviously, against a very bad defense. I feel like the Broncos are kind of getting the short end of the stick in the media, though. It's a talk, and maybe it's just it's the Cowboys. They're a popular team. They're a popular club. Maybe it's more just we're sad about where the Cowboys are nationally, but lots of talk about how bad this defense is, and if you're a bad offense, then this is a game. This is a team to get your offense going against. But not a lot of love for Bo Nix, if I'm being honest. So, is that the right? Are we now? Are we over as Broncos fans to Bo Nix's performance in this game because it was such a bad defense, or do you think that Broncos fans have something to be excited about with how the game was called and how Bo handled that Dallas defense?
I mean, I think you got to feel good about it. I mean, yes, they're not a great defense. They had some folks injured, but they did put the cuffs on a Commander's offense that the week before, I think, put up like 31. And so it is also the most points, 44 against them on Sundays, the most points that the Cowboys have put up. So for as bad as they've been, they have not been badder than what they were on Sunday. So I think obviously within context, I think you'll get a better barometer for what's coming up next. But when you look on in the heels of scoring 33 points in a quarter against a defense that had playing pretty well in the Giants, especially when you're down, to be able to score at that kind of pace, to really carry it on, right? So in the last 5 quarters, 77 points ain't nothing to sneeze at, even if you're just looking at kind of how they're clicking over that time. And I think they have played worse against other bad defenses, and so I think there's something to be said about just the execution. Now, there are a couple plays that had some, the touchdown to RJ Harvey in the flat. That was a Bo change, the recognize it was man. You had Harvey split out to the left. You bring him back in tight on the left side. He goes underneath. And you have 2 drags coming across, so just kind of the natural rub / mesh. And but Bo changed the play to that. So, getting your guys in the best position to execute that play was going to work on anybody. If you ran that against that defense, their personnel, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. You had the right personnel group. Your quarterback knew what was coming, recognized what they saw, changed to the right play. You got a touchdown. So I think you can't feel like you made it because you got to stack more games. Sure. Yeah. But I do think you got to feel like there was an opportunity and you took advantage of it. I think especially considering that the first pass attempt, I believe, was intercepted. And whether it was a miscommunication or just an absolute terrible throw, both are probably somewhat true. That didn't ravel them, right? That didn't have a huge cause for concern. The defense held up, and then the offense responded, and then it just kind of was that for the rest of the day. So I think you got to appreciate it. I think you got to build off of it. It's an NFL defense. Guys over there make a ton of money, and the Broncos did what they wanted. Like, it wasn't just a Bo Nix day. You had J.K. Dobbins running at will, and then we'll talk about all of it. But watching your draft class contribute, right? Pat Bryant, huge blocks, couple big catches, touchdown. RJ Harvey, 3 touchdowns in the game. I think Broncos first, either in a really long time or only rookie ever to score 3 touchdowns in the rookie season. Something pretty absurd. Troy Franklin, your second-year guy, continuing to ascend. We'll talk about defensively, Jahdae Barron getting a pick. And so I think
you got to feel Jahdae.
Yeah, I think you got to feel really good about that. Ingram, again, being a more consistent presence in the offense. And with all of that, still Court not bitching. Court's not getting the volume of targets sometimes, and he's still down there making phenomenal blocks. And so I think this team has found out if we execute, we're good at football, right? Like, it doesn't have to be schemed perfect all the time, which I think Sean gets in his head a little bit to do. And I think this team recognized if we just play good football, we're going to be all right. The guys up front played really well. Quinn Miners was an absolute maniac. I think everyone saw those clips, 3 blocks, on RJ's toss, demolishes 3 guys. But I think you get that, like, that's an attitude, right? Like, they recognize a little bit. And I think that only happens with confidence. Like, you feel good about, what you're doing, that you can just unleash on stuff. And so I think you got to take it. I mean, we were both not excited about this matchup at this time. We were pretty concerned. Chris, you weren't. Nice job, Big Dog. A call out, recognizing that your team's terrible. If I do recall, you even picked them to lose, which I just thought was interesting.
He did.
So all of that being said, I think there were some tempered expectations around the place. So then, if you're really concerned about how this team was going to come out, then you should be excited about how it turned out because of what you went in the game. I don't think you should go in being like, I don't know if they're going to be able to win. And then they go dominate and you're like, yeah, but it was a bad team. Like, well, what were you worried about then? There was something. Right. So I think being able to take it for what it was, I like Bo is getting better each game. I think his it factor again shows up. The mistakes are lessening. And what I've really liked is his bounce back. I think if we were to take anything about Bo Nix play, it's his confidence. I think he's understanding what's expected now and his ability to bounce back. He's thrown some bad picks this year or had some quarters of just disappearing. And when they need him to turn it on, he does. And I think that's a really hard thing for anyone that plays sports, not get in your own head when you mess up. Us just shooting baskets in the back, like, we'll get in our head, let alone 70,000 people booing you or whatever that might be. So I like it. I like where they're at. I think it lines up for a really, really good test against a really, really good Houston defense. So you kind of see what can be transferred. But that was no fluke in a whooping. They did what they wanted. And, usually if you're the Cowboys, you make them buy you dinner first. But, everything's smaller there. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm excited about it. One thing I do have a little bit of a complaint about.
Okay.
Is stop not giving J.K. Dobbins goal line carries. Stop it. Sean, stop. Like, we know they want him back. They want to make sure his touchdowns stay low so they can, like, I know it's chess, 3D chess, not even regular chess, not checkers.
It's true.
And so my man is what, third in the NFL in rushing, third, fourth, top 5, has been exactly what we needed for this team.
Yeah, he needs.
And then some. Let the man run the ball at the freaking goal line. That part is irking me a little bit. Bo Nix shouldn't have he's on my fantasy team, so he should have whatever he wants. That said, right? Thank you, Robert. Give him the ball. He's the reason why this offense can be dynamic. Him and the offensive line. Then you pull him out and you give it to RJ. Or Bo sneaks it in or does a sprint right out. I get it. Yep, we want him to have 40 touchdown passes. Blah, 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 blah. Stop it. Yeah, JK should have won a game. He earned it. He gets you down there. The tough yards. Pro's pro. You're gonna sign him back. What's a couple $1 million added on top of it? Let's go. So,
dude wants to be here too, dude. He said after the game, I think I was born to be a Bronco.
Yep, I was born to be a Bronco. And even if it's all lip service, even if it's the fact that he's that polished to present that way, and the guys like him, so he's presenting that way in the locker room too. So if he's faking it all the time, which means if you're faking it all the time, then you're probably living it. So not only providing what this team needs physically and gameplay, mind you, he just turned 27. He's got 4 more years, probably a pretty good tread. You start kind of, raising RJ. You need 2 backs. Sean knows that. He's going to come back. Don't nickel and dime the guy. And so that part is that's my complaint. Stop it. Give him the rock. Stop being extra cute. That's how Nate acts. So we had to be cute, do a rollout.
No, I like that take. That's a good take. And I think, I mean, the Broncos have done what they're supposed to do against teams that they're supposed to beat, if we're being real. And it's not, I think that's a good sign. It's a good sign for a quarterback. Yes. You're not, some of the games have been a struggle. Yes. Obviously you don't want to have a huge comeback in the fourth quarter against the Giants. You don't want to struggle all day against the Jets. But you're winning those games. You're winning those games as a team. You're winning these games as a unit. And this week there were some great throws. That throw to Pat Bryant in the corner of the end zone was a dime. It's a beautiful throw, and so you can be critical. I think you can be just as critical of how Sean Payton calls the game as you can with how Bo Nix delivers the ball. I think he's doing what's.
But that Pat Bryant throw, that's indefensible. Okay, sure. Shade the Cowboys for No one's getting that ball.
No.
And I think you can see it in he's getting some air, a little bit more air in his deep balls. They're connecting a little bit more. You and I were talking about that as we were watching the game.
Yeah.
I think you can see it, the game slowing, right? He's regulated. We got to figure out how to get him less hyped. I love my quarterback being all into it, but wide-eyed, scary Bo Nix early on in the season, probably not as ideal. Stay the cloak and dagger, got your eye black on. But those plays are indefensible. I don't care who they are. Your guys are winning. I am super excited, though, about the progression of Pat Bryant, who, again, was one of my guys. So I want you all to understand that. When we drafted Pat Bryant, I was litty, as the kids say. And the fact that I think right now, I think there's an equal debate for, when the season ends, who's your number 2?
Yeah.
Right. Is it Pat? Is it Troy? Maybe it could be Marvin. And then reminding us all, all 3 of those guys are 22 or 23 years old. We're walking into some really good, some good stuff here. And I think Pat Bryant is an absolute dog. And he won. I don't know if you heard the story, but he's talked to the media about it. Some of the running backs, he said, hey, if you want a long run, come to my side. If you want to break one, come to my side. I got you. I'm not missing a block. For your receiver to be like, yeah, man, come on my side so I can put someone in the dirt.
Yeah, you love that.
And that's the thing he doesn't, that they don't get paid for, right? And he knows and he likes it. He catches the ball like that too, right? He's plucking that bad boy. More reps, I think, but I think he's earned it. I think you found your 3 with Mims kind of being your gadget guy. You got Sutton, who's your pro. You can rely on. He's going to be that guy. And Franklin, your speed, your quick cut. He's really coming on. I'm super just happy for him. From all intents and purposes, I don't know. Good dude. to get as much crap as he got last year and figure it out, hang in and figure it out, and to be able to kind of show like, yeah, I was 21, I got drafted, I couldn't even drink it. And then Pat kind of emerging, and he's done it because he blocks, like he's earned reps doing the little stuff and now getting more and more involved in the pass game. Do you like where that three's at? Kind of maybe as we roll into the next matchup a little bit. How do you feel about those being the top three and Mims being your gadget guy? I know you and I have talked about this, so I kind of know the answer a little bit. Or do you think Mims is still an answer long-term outside? And the Broncos maybe need to feature him a little bit more as a receiver.
Yeah, well, let's. This will be a good transition too. Before we talk about the Houston game, that I'm not a big Mims believer right now. I just think that there's something that is missing, and I don't know if it's because of the offense and what he's asked to do or what the expectation is. Obviously, I love him as a return guy. He can hit a big play. I don't think he's a complete zero. I just don't think that he is a wide receiver too. I don't think he'll ever be a wide receiver too in this offense. Franklin I still go with drops sometimes. I want him to be a little more reliable. But I like the development. I like the development. I think when we drafted him, we felt like, hey, he has potential to be a wide receiver too. I don't know if it is if he's got wide receiver one season, but definitely wide receiver two, can run on the outside, has great hands, like you said, plucks the ball out of the air, catches with his hands, not with his body. And so Pat Bryant, I'm excited about. I want to continue to see Franklin. I just want him to be a little more reliable. That's all.
Sure.
Just catching the ball. But that leads us into all the talk about trades. Do you think that this team needs to make a trade, needs to bring in an offensive player, needs to bring in some depth, whatever it be? Yes. Is there anything on your radar that you think would be a beneficial move for the Broncos?
Yeah, I think a back end vet. So not someone that necessarily needs to come in as a wide receiver 2, 3, etc., but a guy that, because remember, injuries are going to occur. Not a matter if or when. It's the NFL. If you play it, you're going to get hurt. And I really like Trent Sherfield. I like him as a football player. I think my enamored or my encouraged thoughts or hopeful thinking about him being a real contributor on offense is kind of faded too.
Yeah.
So I'd rather him not get wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 reps.
Right.
And so, could you go out and get, a 30-plus-year-old vet who can come in and give you 20 good snaps a game, can be clutch on third down, that kind of stuff. I think as a receiver, I would like that just to kind of keep raising the floor of that room. Sure. I would like to see either a clear understanding of when Ben Powers is going to come back, or I think getting another depth piece for the offensive line. I think right now you've dipped into it, so you've lost 2 of your top 8 linemen when it comes to Pert and it comes to Powers. And so the depth has been good, right? You got Palczewski who's come in and contributed pretty well. You're hoping he continues. That said, now that you've brought him up and you lost Pert, you have less than, right? We got Frank Crum out there, which I love. But if there's an injury, do I want Frank Crum playing meaningful playoff snaps? Like, I don't know about that. And even maybe if he deserves it, I don't want that to be the default.
Right.
So I think there's that. I think I would have said, linebacker. I think, again, kudos to Justin Chernod. Has really played really well and above. I thought he played well for what I expected of him, but not a guy that was, you got to talk about when Greenlaw comes back, you don't take him off the field. So the fact that that's even a thought of like, do we take him off the field? I think goes to show Justin is a pro's pro. I think Alex had a really good bounce back game, which, again, coming back from knee injury, it's taken a little bit. I think we're seeing that a little bit with, we talked about Gabe with the Avalanche, talked about with Jamal. I think Court took a couple of years to come back from his injury. And so giving a little bit of grace to Alex Singleton. But last game, I think he played fast and angry. And I think when he can do that, One, it sets the tone for the defense, that nastiness that they bring. But also that's when he's at his best. And I think he was behind. He's a half step behind all the time. I think seeing it, he's not the fastest. And so, he's not slow, but he's definitely not a freak of nature. And so last game, I think, beating up at that time, number one offense in football and beating them up. Like, I mean, and that had a lot to do, I think, with the inside linebacker play. But those would be the two positions that I would really want to see. I think what I expect to see right now is they got to get someone in at tight end. So we brought Mercedes Lewis in, 41-year-old Mercedes Lewis signed to the practice squad. But Nate Atkins, I think, because we ask him to block so damn much, is going to get hurt again. And you don't have, Adam Prentice is an okay fullback. He's not good. And so, you got Ingram, Troutman, and nobody right now. And so for me, because Lucas Kroll's out, I think adding a vet, even with Mercedes Lewis, but kind of an all-around vet. It can be a younger vet. It can be, maybe someone that was a higher-ish draft pick, third, fourth round, but didn't pan out. Something like that you can get maybe with a pick swap. But someone that can come and contribute, a Foster Moreau who is playing in for the Saints. I think that there's quite a few guys like that. Dang it, how did the Tennessee Titans tight end?
Oh, Okongwu.
That's it. Yeah, I mean that's a guy I think could be a long-term
maybe a Pat Fryermuth or something like that.
Yeah. You love Pat or Darnell Washington. I think they haven't really utilized him, but I think there's tight end 2s, tight end 3s all over the place that you can go get just to raise the floor. But at this point, I don't think they have to go do anything splashy. Which, what a difference 5 quarters makes. And I think they're in a pretty good spot. I would expect them to continue to look at strengthening in that tight end room because Evan Ingram's not a tight end. He's a big slot. And so for this run game, I think to be at its maximum, I think you need guys that can come onto the field and put their nose in someone's chest and move them. That's why Mercedes Lewis is now a Denver Bronco because, he's not on the field to catch. He's on the field to bulldoze people. And I think for this identity and for the team, that's what they got to do for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's transition to Broncos versus Houston this upcoming week. It's going to be a challenging game. A really good defensive team in Houston that's going to really challenge what's up until last week been last 5 quarters has been a somewhat stagnant offense at times. At times struggled to get the running game going, but definitely a team. And a team that got going last week offensively without some of their best wide receivers. So it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a test for this team. When you're down Pat Surtain, so you're asking Abrams Drain to come in and really step up and play a little bit above his head maybe. What's your kind of initial feel coming into this game? Do you feel like this is I don't want to say winnable, obviously. All games are winnable. But do you feel like this is going to test the Broncos defensively? Do you think it's going to maybe be their biggest test up to this point this season?
No, biggest test, no. I think last week was. I think that's the best wide receiver duo that they would have played. And to play most of that game without Pat Surtain and, causing George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb to get pretty pissed. Dak threw some uncharacteristic interceptions for him. And I think I think the recipe again is pressure. If you pressure the quarterback, they're going to make mistakes. It's just the bear. And I think this defense, it'll be interesting to see what kind of defense they play. Do they lean in pressure? Because Houston's offensive line is not good. So let's not pretend that they are,
That's
and
fair.
I think even the PFF grades right there, probably even a little generous, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I think Stroud has been to no disrespect intended, some a little bit, has regressed for sure. And so it'll be really interesting to see kind of how they play it. Do they stay true to the man one pressure? Do they try and play off a little bit in zone? I think maybe they'll mix more in. But we like Chris Abrams Drain. I think Riley's played tremendous. I think out of all of the top corners in the NFL and completion percentage allowed, he's the best. So he's got some penalties. I think some of those are phantom for sure, to be honest. But I really like their matchup. I think I think this is a good game too. If you can go on the road, early start time against a talented team, whether they have put it together or not, that is a talented unit. CJ Stroud is a talented player. I think he will get right at some point. I think they haven't done him much favors in terms of keeping him upright. But I think this is a go get it game. I think for sure. I think defensively to put your stamp on, we'll beat anybody anywhere kind of thing. And, I think that this will be a good matchup. It's not the best matchup that they've had this year. I think Philly is tough. They made them look pretty pedestrian. Dallas is tough. They made them look pedestrian. And even, playing against Indy, I think Indy is a much better offense. I think the Chargers are a much better offense. And so, and in both of those games, the Broncos should have won those games, and so here we are. But I like their matchup. I think it'll be really interesting to see Nico Collins against kind of however they do it. I would expect that they don't travel without PS2 out there. I don't think that they're going to send Riley with. I think you play just
I don't think so
with some safety rotation. But I think they got to lean into pressure looks and kind of overwhelm them early, where then you can get a little bit cute. So I think this will be a statement game opportunity for Denver's defense. Because right now too, I think that there's people that still think they're fraudulent, and I think that they love it, and super excited to see how this game shapes up.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a tough one. I think it will be their biggest challenge thus far. Obviously we played the Colts before we knew the Colts were the Colts. So obviously you can look back at that one and say, hey, pretty good effort. Probably should have won that game. But I think, now with how the teams are shaking up, how beat up Houston's been, I think they're probably coming back around to getting healthier. It looks like Nico Collins is trending towards playing. I am interested to see McMillan versus Jalen Noel. I like Jalen Noel. He was one of my guys in the draft.
Yeah, he was.
Who's come on in the last couple of weeks. And I think he's a real versatile pass catcher for them. I just think, you've got to win this game in the trenches. You've got to win this game with pressure. You've got to make CJ uncomfortable. You saw when he had time to deliver the ball last week, he was lights out, man. He was great.
Mm-hmm.
That team looked really good. When he's under duress, it changes the whole complexion of the game. And so I think the good thing is that this team is good at rushing the passer. It's not really a concern that I have that they're not going to get there. It's just a matter of how quickly and what the Texans are going to try and do to mitigate kind of that pressure throughout the game. So they'll have to come up with a game plan to get that ball out of Stroud's hands quickly. They'll have to mix in the run. They'll have to be able to run the ball. If we are able to shut down the run, it's going to make things really difficult for them. I like the Broncos' chances. I could also see a scenario where, our defense or offensive stymied as well. And so I don't necessarily think that this is going to be a barn burner offensively for either team. So I think, this is definitely going to be a closer game, probably one that comes down to fourth quarter play or potentially even, last drive of the game kind of outcome. So we'll have to see, but a fun, intriguing game regardless. It's going to be, it'll be a fun one to watch. And it'll be a real good barometer for the Broncos, who are still tops in the AFC West.
Yeah. And so with that, let's go predictions.
All right.
Since you were wrong last week, you get to start.
Okay. Man, I haven't even decided yet. I think I'm feeling like if we're going strength against weakness, I think that our defensive line is going to be too much for Stroud and the offense to handle.
Okay.
The statistician in me wants to just say that they'll probably lose because we've won 5 straight, and that's hard to do. But I think that they've got a good shot in this game. I think it is going to be tight. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter and just kind of who can get points on the board, whether that be field goals or touchdowns. I think this is probably closer to a 23-20 win for the Broncos. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Nice. I think just to illustrate it a little bit. So the start of the regular season, play the Rams. So offensively scored 9 points. Yep. Next week they played Tampa, scored 19 points. Jacksonville, another loss, scored 10 points. Tennessee, they did win, scored 26 points. The Baltimore Ravens, kind of mid free fall, they scored 44. That was just an onslaught, but that also was kind of like the worst Ravens team in decades. Lost up at Seattle, scored 19 points. And then beat San Francisco with all of their injuries at defense, scored 26 points. So I also think they haven't played like offensive juggernauts either. Seattle, they gave up 27. Seattle, I think, I would put the Broncos offense is a little bit better than the Seahawks offense. Same with Jacksonville, they give up 17. I think the Broncos have a much more dynamic offense. Tampa, I think, is a good unit. LA, I think, is a good unit. So probably kind of on par with them. So I like the chances. I think they're going to go down with some attitude. I think Houston is not a good overall football team, and I think what the Broncos have to offer, in particular, pressure packages. Nick hasn't gotten a sack. I think he had a half a sack last 2 weeks ago, none last week. And I think that this will be one of those revenge games. I think both defensive fronts are going to make life difficult for both teams. But if I were to bet on who is playing better football right now, as my indicator, which I am, and that's because I think Bo Nix is playing at a higher level than CJ Stroud is. I think with that, that's kind of where my thought goes. I do think it'll be a 23-13 kind of game. I don't think that they're going to score more touchdowns. Dallas didn't score their second touchdown until the starters were pulled. And that is a much better offensive unit with a quarterback that was playing at an MVP level. And even in their win last week or previous weeks, CJ Stroud did not look like an MVP. And so with that, I think you're moving it forward. I think it's going to be a little tough on the defense, but I think it's a really good opportunity for those guys to get some really good live reps against a talented, at least athletically, offense, because you're probably going to need Chris Abrams-Drain. You're going to need Riley to continue to develop. You're going to need Jade to continue to maximize what that's going to look like for them. Having PJ Locke come in, I think you run a lot more of 3 safety looks with or bringing in Jade. It's kind of a bigger dime package and that kind of stuff. And with Greenlaw coming back, I think this team's going to be fired up. I think that defense is going to be nasty, and I think that they are going to wreak some havoc. And I think this is a game that they're going to do it. So love it. Love the Broncos win. Really appreciate you as always, my guy. Do you want to go ahead and ring us out?
Yeah, I think it is that time, unfortunately, but we've enjoyed being with y'all today. We appreciate you tuning in as always. Reach out to us social media. We enjoy, just talking Broncos, talking sports in general.
Always.
Hit us with your predictions, all that good stuff. But again, we appreciate you for being here. Be kind to one another. Be safe out there. And if you need a sports prescription, ask a doctor.
Give me like 24 hours notice.
From football to hockey, we're taking it higher. Join the celebration, feel that sports desire. So grab your crew, let's hit the show. My high sports symposium, let the good times flow.